Good morning, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, family, can I have your attention for just a few moments? I don't know what brought you here today, maybe curiosity, maybe a friend dragged you along, or maybe you're searching for something. But whatever it is, I'm glad you're here, because I've got something to say, not just words, a wake-up call. Life is fragile. And if you're not paying attention, it can slip through your fingers faster than a text message or a TikTok scroll. I remember when I was younger thinking life would just figure itself out, that I could coast. But life doesn't run on autopilot. It's fragile, it's breakable. And if you don't stop and really see it, you might just miss the most beautiful parts of it. Some of us are walking around like we've got 1,000 years ahead of us, like we're bulletproof. But the truth is, none of us are. You know, sometimes we live like life owes us something. Like waking up tomorrow is automatic, but it's not. Every single breath you're taking right now, it's a gift. And the sooner we realize that, the more our lives will shift into something meaningful. We're not promised another day, another hour, or even another moment. And that's not meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up. Because when life is fragile, truly fragile, every little thing starts to matter more. The smile from a stranger, the sound of your mom's voice on the phone, that hug from a friend that lasted just a few seconds longer than usual. Those aren't small things, those are everything. But the problem is, we get used to the rhythm. We assume the people we love will always be there. We assume our health will hold up, that our plans will pan out, that next year will be kinder to us. But life doesn't operate on our assumptions. I've met people who had their whole lives mapped out: careers, relationships, dreams. And then suddenly a phone call, an accident, a diagnosis, and everything changed. Not because they did something wrong, but because life is fragile. And fragility doesn't wait for our schedules to open up. It comes without warning. But here's the catch: when you accept that life is fragile, you start living differently. You start appreciating more. You stop waiting for the perfect moment to say, "I love you," and you just say it. You stop holding grudges that weigh your heart down. You look someone in the eye and tell them how much they mean to you, not someday, but now. It's easy to say, "I'll do it tomorrow. I'll chase that dream later. I'll forgive them when I'm ready." But what if tomorrow doesn't come? What if all we have is now? Wouldn't you want to make sure your last words were full of love? That the people in your life knew what they meant to you. That you actually lived instead of just existing. Sometimes we get so caught up in the rush chasing money, recognition, likes, approval that we miss the moments that matter most. We measure success by things we can count instead of by the things we can feel. But when life shows you how fragile it really is, suddenly all that noise fades. And what's left? Love, people, purpose. You might think you have time, but truthfully, time is the one thing we'll never control. You don't know if you'll get another sunset, another birthday, another chance to say, "I'm sorry." So if you're breathing, if your heart's beating, that's already a miracle. Don't waste it being numb to the beauty around you. You don't have to have it all figured out to live fully. You just have to be aware. Aware that life is fragile. Aware that right now matters. Aware that your next moment isn't promised, but this one is. So while you're here, take attention. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you sat in silence? No phone, no screen, no notifications pulling at your attention. Just you breathing, thinking, being. Most people can't even remember. And it's not because we're bad people, it's because the world is loud. It's fast, it's full of distractions that compete for our focus every single second. But let me tell you something straight: distractions are not just killing your time, they're stealing your purpose. We say we don't have time to pursue our dreams, to reconnect with our families, to work on ourselves, but the truth is, we do. We just spend so much of that time scrolling, comparing, numbing, running from what matters most. We're connected to everything, but present for nothing. And that's dangerous, because when life is as fragile as it really is, every moment lost to distraction is a moment we might never get back. You see, distraction doesn't always show up as something harmful. Sometimes it looks like entertainment. Sometimes it looks like busyness. It convinces you that you're being productive while pulling you away from what actually counts. You know what it really is? A thief, a smooth, smiling thief that robs you without you even noticing. And we've all been there. I've had days where I look back and thought, what did I actually do today? Not because I was lazy, but because I was distracted. I was present in body, but absent in mind. And that's a scary place to live, half awake in a life that demands our full attention. You can't step into your purpose if your eyes are constantly somewhere else. If your head is down in your phone instead of lifted toward what's ahead. If your heart is split in too many directions, you'll never feel whole. That's why attention matters. Not just as a practice, but as a discipline. Because life is fragile, and fragile things need care. Focus, attention. Think about it. How many harm relationships are breaking not because people stop loving each other, but because they stop paying attention? How many dreams are dying, not because they weren't possible, but because we stopped feeding them with focus? We blame life, we blame time, we even blame luck. But really, we just weren't present enough to nurture what was already there. Distractions are clever. They'll convince you that you're doing okay, that nothing's urgent. But listen to me, you don't want to wait until life hits you hard to stop paying attention. Don't wait for a loss to appreciate presence. Don't wait for regret to remind you of what you should have cherished when you had it. And please, stop waiting for some big dramatic wake-up call. Your wake-up call can be right now. This moment, this breath. You can choose to redirect your focus. You can choose to eliminate the noise. You can choose to see what's been in front of you all along your life, your people, your calling. If you really understood how short and delicate life is, you wouldn't waste another second being distracted from it. You'd start leaning in. You'd start listening more, loving harder, living with your whole heart. Because that's how life was meant to be lived, not halfway, not on autopilot, but fully, deeply, with fierce attention. It's strange, isn't it? How we often wait until something's gone to finally see how much it mattered. We wait until the chair at the dinner table is empty to wish we had more conversations. We wait until the clock runs out to realize we should have played the game differently. We wait too long to value what was always right in front of us. And why? Because we think we'll always have more time. But life doesn't wait for us to get it together. Life is fragile. And the people, the opportunities, the moments we keep putting off, they won't always be there. We say things like, I'll call them tomorrow, or I'll apologize next week, or I'll chase that dream when I'm more ready. But sometimes there is no next week. Sometimes there is no later. And when that moment slips away, we're left with the weight of what we didn't say, what we didn't do, and what we didn't value when it truly mattered. I've talked to people who had everything: success, money, attention, but they still felt empty. You know why? Because they didn't value the things that filled their soul. They were chasing things that impressed others but didn't bring them peace. And by the time they realized that, they had already lost what mattered most: relationships, joy, purpose. You see, value isn't just about how rare something is, it's about how present it is. The people in your life right now, the moments you're living today, they're not guaranteed to show up again tomorrow. And when you understand that, you start looking at everything differently. You stop treating people like background noise and start seeing them as blessings. You stop treating today like just another day and start treating it like the only day you've got. Have you ever had a moment where you wish you had just one more conversation with someone? One more hug? One more chance to say what you didn't? That kind of regret doesn't come from doing too much. It comes from waiting too long to do what your heart already knew was important. So why do we do it? Why do we keep putting value on the things that don't last and ignoring the ones that do? Maybe it's fear. Maybe it's distraction. Or maybe it's just the habit of postponing life because we think we're invincible. But we're not. We are breakable. And fragile things should be handled with care, not careless delay. There's something powerful about choosing to value what you already have. The people who stand by you. The quiet moments, the chance to laugh, to cry, to grow. You don't have to wait for tragedy to teach you what treasure looks like. You can learn now. You can choose now, because now is the only time you're fully guaranteed. Start telling people how much they mean to you, even if it feels awkward. Start showing up for your own life like it matters, because it does. You don't need a second chance to appreciate the first one. You just need the awareness to stop waiting and start valuing. Because life is fragile, and the things you keep saying you'll appreciate someday might not be there when someday comes. Pain has a way of doing something that comfort never can. It wakes us up. You see, most of us drift through life until something shakes us. We go through the motions, distracted, numb, sometimes even ungrateful, until life throws something unexpected our way, and suddenly everything looks different. A loss, a breakup, a failure, a diagnosis, something that brings us to our knees. And in that moment of pain, clarity shows up. It's strange, right? How pain, something we try so hard to avoid, often becomes the very thing that opens our eyes. We start to see how much we were taking for granted, how many little things we miss, how long we've been asleep at the wheel of our own lives. Pain snaps us out of that sleep. It doesn't ask for permission. It shows up uninvited, but it always brings a message: pay attention. Some of the deepest growth I've ever seen in people didn't come from success or applause. It came from the ashes of something that broke them. But here's the beautiful part: they didn't stay broken. They didn't let the pain become the end of their story. They used it. They grew from it. They let it change them not into someone bitter, but into someone better, because they listened. They paid attention. But the truth is, we don't have to wait for pain to finally start paying attention to our lives. We don't have to lose something before we realize its value. We don't have to break down before we start building up the things that really matter. That's what taking attention means. It means learning from the warnings, from the whispers, not just the shouts. Because life is fragile, and it shouldn't take a disaster to remind us of that. Still, pain will come. That's part of life. And when it does, you have a choice. You can let it shut you down, or you can let it open your eyes. You can let it harden your heart, or you can let it soften you to what really matters. Sometimes the worst moments are just turning points in disguise if you're willing to see it that way. I've met people who hit rock bottom, and it was there in the silence, in the loneliness, in the heartbreak that they discovered their strength. Not the kind that looks good on a resume, but the kind that builds resilience, that makes you more present, more loving, more real. Pain can be a powerful teacher. It reminds us we're alive. It reminds us that time is precious. It reminds us that we're human, that we need each other, that we need grace, and that we need to stop wasting moments pretending we're fine when we're not. So don't wait for life to knock you down before you start waking up. Don't wait for the heartbreak before you start loving fully. Don't wait for the loss before you start valuing what you still have. Life is fragile. You can either learn that through pain or through attention. The choice is yours. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to feel weak when life doesn't go your way? When the plans fall apart, when the people you trusted let you down, when the unexpected hits harder than you thought it would. In those moments, we start to question everything. We wonder if we're strong enough. We wonder if we're even capable of standing again. But here's something most people don't realize: true strength doesn't always look like power. Sometimes it looks like presence. It's not always the loudest person in the room who's the strongest. It's the one who shows up day after day, even when they're tired, even when they're scared. It's the one who says, I'm still here, even with tears in their eyes. That's real strength, not pretending to be invincible, but being fully human and still choosing to keep going. And the root of that kind of strength, it's not found in achievement. It's not built in the spotlight. It's found in gratitude. It's found in the quiet, ordinary moments where you pause long enough to say, even if everything isn't perfect, I'm still thankful. Because when you're grateful, you're grounded. When you're present, you're powerful. You stop chasing everything out there and you start appreciating what's already here. You see, gratitude doesn't ignore pain. It doesn't deny difficulty. What it does is give you the ability to see through the pain, to find beauty in the mess, to say, yes, life is fragile, but this moment is still a gift. That perspective changes everything. I've seen people go through unthinkable loss and come out stronger. Not because they didn't break, but because they found meaning in the breaking. They didn't let bitterness win. They looked at the pain, honored it, and then said, I still have breath in my lungs and I'm going to use it well. And let me tell you something, that kind of strength is contagious. When you meet someone who walks through life with gratitude and presence, you feel it. They're not in a rush to prove anything. They're not trying to be someone else. They're just here, living fully, loving freely, and standing firm, even when the ground shakes beneath them. In a world that constantly tells you to do more, be more, hustle harder, sometimes the strongest thing you can do is slow down. Look someone in the eyes, put your phone away, feel the breeze, listen to the sound of your child's laugh. Call someone you've been meaning to call. Eat your food slowly. Breathe deeply. These aren't small things. These are the building blocks of a strong, meaningful life. And if you think that presence and gratitude are signs of weakness, think again. They take courage. It's easy to stay distracted. It's easy to numb out. But being fully present, that takes strength. Saying thank you in the middle of uncertainty, that takes strength. Choosing joy in the face of fear, that's not denial, that's power. So if you're looking for strength, stop looking so far ahead. Look at where you are. What do you already have? Who do you already love? What have you already overcome? Let those things remind you of your strength. Let gratitude steady your heart. Let presence anchor your soul. Because life is fragile. And strength is not just about how hard you can push, it's about how deeply you can appreciate. Legacy. It's a big word, isn't it? We often hear it in speeches, see it in documentaries, or read it in books about great people who made history. And somewhere in the back of our minds, we think legacy is for them, the famous, the powerful, the world changers. But let me tell you something honest and raw. Every single one of us is building a legacy, whether we realize it or not. Legacy isn't some far-off dream. It's not just something you leave behind when you're gone. It's something you build day by day, choice by choice, moment by moment. It's shaped not by the big dramatic acts, but by the small intentional ones. How you speak to people. How you show up when it's inconvenient. How you love when it's hard. How you treat someone who can't give you anything in return. You don't need a stage or a spotlight to impact lives. Some of the greatest legacies are built in quiet places around dinner tables, in hospital rooms, on school benches, during car rides, or in simple texts that say, "I'm thinking of you." Those small moments, the ones we often overlook, that's where legacy lies. I think sometimes we get overwhelmed because we believe our life has to be loud to be meaningful. That, unless we built something massive or gathered a huge following, we haven't really made a difference. But life doesn't work that way. People don't remember you for the things you had, they remember how you made them feel. They remember if you paid attention, if you made them laugh, if you lifted them up when they were down, if you saw them when they felt invisible. And because life is fragile, we don't have time to wait to start building something meaningful. We have to be intentional now. We have to ask ourselves, what kind of legacy am I leaving in the hearts of the people I interact with today? Not next year, not someday, today. Think about a time someone spoke just the right word at just the right time. Maybe they didn't even know you needed it, but they said it anyway. That stuck with you, didn't it? Or maybe someone forgave you when you didn't expect it. Or encouraged you when you were ready to quit. Or simply sat with you in silence when there was nothing left to say. That's legacy. That's what lasts. That's what people carry with them when everything else fades. You don't need a perfect life to build a powerful legacy. You just need a present one. A life that shows up with love. A heart that gives even when it doesn't feel like it. A mind that's committed to choosing kindness even when anger is easier. Your legacy isn't about being remembered by everyone. It's about being unforgettable to someone, and that someone might be sitting across from you at breakfast, or walking beside you in silence, or looking up to you when you don't even realize it. So what are you doing with the moments that seem small? Are you passing them by? Or are you building something with them, something that matters, something that echoes beyond your time here? Because life is fragile. But in that fragility is the urgency to live with purpose, to love with intensity, to give with open hands, and to leave something behind in people's hearts that no time or trouble can erase. So while you're here, take attention. So, here we are at the edge of these words, but not at the edge of your story. If there's one thing I hope you carry from this, it's that life is not guaranteed, not promised, not owed. It's a fragile, beautiful, breathtaking gift, and the way you live it matters. Don't let distraction steal your purpose. Don't wait for pain to be your teacher. Don't overlook the value of the people and the moments right in front of you. Choose presence, choose gratitude, choose love, and build a legacy that speaks long after your voice is gone. Take attention not just once, not just today, but every day. Because this life, as delicate as it is yours to live well. Thank you for listening. Thank you for choosing to care. And thank you for showing up not just here, but in your own life. God bless you. Take attention. And good luck on the journey ahead.